All right. Well, welcome back to another installment of my Guitar Noob channel. I had just gotten a shipment of new vinyls in today, and instead of just showing you the new vinyls that I got, I thought I would use this as an opportunity to share with you guys a band that was really important to my musical growth. In fact, I mean, you could go as far as to say this was a band that actually changed my life. Um, when I was younger, I listened to some rock music, not much. I think I really only listened to about two rock bands as a kid, and that would have been Kiss and Queen. Didn't venture into anything much heavier than that, and didn't even really venture into much more beyond that. Everything else that I listened to, of course, was like R&B, blues, um, old Motown, some country, um, but nothing really heavy. I didn't listen to any heavy metal at that particular point in time. And when I got into high school, I'd had a friend, and we've been friends for a couple of years, and he used to wear these like really intense metal T-shirts, and I used to give him a hard time about it because some of the imagery was kind of demonic and stuff, and I used to really just give him a hard time, not because I really believed that he was a devil worshiper or anything or demonic. I gave him a hard time just because I could, I guess, all in fun, nothing mean. And he asked me one day, he's like, have you ever listened to any of this music? And I was like, no. I said, that's it's not my thing. He said, I tell you what, he says, I guarantee you, if you listen to this, if you give it a chance and keep an open mind, you'll find something you like. And if you'll agree to do that, I'll make you a mixtape, and I promise you that you're gonna like it. I accepted the challenge because I figured I'd prove him wrong in like 5 seconds flat. I'd hit play on that tape, and that would just be the end of that. But odd thing happened though. He made me the mixtape, and as I'm listening to it, I found a band that basically changed my life and opened me up to a completely new genre of music that I would have never listened to before. One that actually became one of the favorite genres that I listen to. I mean, metal music is probably the biggest portion of my music collection now, and it all started with that day. And this is the band that he did it with. Not only is this the band he did it with, this is actually um, one. He actually made me two tapes. One was a mixtape, and the other was a copy of Venom Black Metal. Um, Black Metal wasn't Venom's first album. It was actually their second. Their first album was Welcome to Hell. And actually, that is one of the albums that I still don't have in the collection, and not because I haven't been able to find it. Um, I wanted to get all these other albums first because these other albums were more important to me. Welcome to Hell was probably, if I'm being honest, Welcome to Hell was probably my least favorite album. But since we've mentioned it, I still like it. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the catalog goes, Welcome to Hell was probably my least favorite. But um, Welcome to Hell came out in 1979, so you know the level of intensity, ferocity, um, even so much as the imagery and the no, I guess the demonic type of subject matter that they sang about was kind of new for that time period. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, this band did this band did it," and yes, bands like Slayer and Bathory came out later and did it as well, but Venom done it first, you know, and that's a very important fact to hold on to. Um, the next album in of theirs that I got was At War with Satan. Um, another killer album, in my opinion. Um, the album was it was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, when At War with Satan first came out. Now I know that it's it's been paid its due now, but I believe when it first came out, I believe critically it was criticized heavily because the album, one side of the album was like a regular album, you know, and the second side of the album was an opus. It was like one song on the entire side. I forgot how. Let's see, oh, it doesn't give the time on it, but the title track, At War with Satan, if I'm not mistaken, that song was at least, it was at least 20 minutes long. Great song though. Don't get me wrong, it's a great song. Um, but then that brings us to um, the next album in that one, in their discography, which was Possessed. Possessed was a slightly different sounding album than the first three. I think the reason being is the first two albums, I know for sure, were primarily written by Jeff Dunn and uh, Anthony Bray, which is or Abaddon and Mantis, the two original founding members of the band. And if I'm not mistaken, they wrote that music before Conrad Lant, who was the singer and bass player, before Conrad Lant, also known as Kronos, before he joined the band. The bulk of the material for the first two albums had already been written by the time he came in. Um, it is my understanding, I believe, that he did more writing on At War with Satan, and I believe that the reason that Possessed sounded as different as it did, which I love this album. A lot of people don't like this album, but I really like this album. But a lot of the reasons why I think this one sounded so much different was because I believe that the bulk of the writing on this one was, I believe, written by Kronos or Conrad Lant. I believe he uh, did more writing on this one, and therefore is why it sounded so different. Now, those first four albums are the core albums and the only albums that have the original members of the band, and that is Welcome to Hell, Black Metal, At War with Satan, and Possessed. By the time we get to the next album, which is the Calm Before the Storm album, Mantis, the guitar player, had left the band, and he was replaced with two guitar players. He was replaced with an English guitar player named Jim Clare and an American guitar player named Mike Hickey. This album, this is a very special album for me. And I like the music on it. I admit, though, that my opinion of the album is probably somewhat biased because during this time period, I actually became sort of pen pals with Mike Hickey, one of the new guitarists in the band. And as a result, that started like a friendship that lasted years. I mean, I've talked to Mike. Well, we've never met in person, but uh, we have talked on the phone. We've talked via email. We've talked via Instagram, and I still keep up with him to this day. Um, and he also back then, as you can imagine, as a kid, being able to talk to um, a member of a band that you are huge fans of, it was huge. And as a result, he got me and my friend, the guy that got me into this band. As a result, he got us we got autographs, and we've got like handwritten signed lyric sheets, and just a lot of stuff that, stuff that he didn't have to do, stuff that Kronos didn't have to do either, and they did, and that was great. And but Mantis did not play guitar on this album. He had left, which brings me to the next album. So far to date, this is probably the album that I've spent the most money on, and one of the ones that was the hardest to find. At the time when I tried to find this album, which was last year, at the time when I was trying to buy this album, I think that there were only maybe 2 copies on the market. And this one I paid $75 for this one, or 60. I paid $65 for this one, $65, yeah. And it's an original pressing. This is Kronos. Conrad Lant, who was the singer, the singer for Venom. After this album, after the Calm Before the Storm album, he took Jim Clare and Mike Hickey with him, and then added a drummer. I cannot remember the drummer's name. Let's see if I can see it real quick. No, I can't get to it that easy. But anyway, they added a new drummer, and he started his solo career. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kronos did 2 albums. They did this one, which is the Dancing in the Fire album, and I think they did another studio album, and then I think they did a 3rd album, but it was like a best of, where they played a bunch of Venom covers and stuff. At the same time this was happening, at the same time Kronos basically left Venom to go do the Kronos album, at the same time, Mantis and Abaddon, the 2 original members of Venom, decided to carry on with their, with the band. So they decided to get Tony Dolan, who was the bassist and lead singer for a band called Atomcraft. They got him to be the new lead singer of Venom. And this brings us to the actual new records that I just got. And these are all limited edition. I think each color was limited to 200 copies. So the first album that they did with Tony Dolan as the lead singer, an album called Primeval. And this has been reissued. This is the gold vinyl. It's like I said, limited to 200 pieces, and this is number 165. And the next album was Venom, Temples of Ice, which Both Temples of Ice and Primeval were really good albums. I thought they were every bit as good um, as some of Venom's earlier stuff. You definitely can hear a difference between, Kronos' voice and Tony Dolan's voice. I mean, it's like both of their vocals are in the same school, same realm, but the tonalities are completely different. It's like when you hear it, you know that you know which one is Tony Dolan, you know which one is uh is Kronos. Um, my favorite one on Primeval, of course, is Blackened Are the Priests. Um, I actually, believe it or not, out of all the Venom albums I've owned, and I've owned most, I have never owned a copy of Temples of Ice, so I can't really even tell you um, too much about this. I've listened to it one time. I still need to delve into it a little bit more before I can say, although I can say I like it. It's a great album. After Temples of Ice came Wasteland, which is this album. Now, originally, this album was going to be called Kissing the Beast. Originally, this album was supposed to be called Kissing the Beast. I'm not exactly sure what all happened as to the reason why the name was changed to Wasteland. But once again, very good album. With songs like Crucified, Wolverine, Clarice. It's a good album. And this is actually the last studio album that Venom would do for a while before Kronos decided to relaunch the band again years later. Oops, I put that wrong time. Now the last two albums that I have. Oh, and actually the this one is number 163 of 200, and the Temples of Ice was, what does that say? 91 of 200. Then they dropped this. This is Venom Kissing the Beast, which is basically like a best of. It has hits like Angel Dust, Bloodlust, Countess Bathory, Buried Alive, just Bursting Out. It's just a best of album, but it's a best of album playing some of their older cuts mixed in with some of their newer cuts, but all with Tony Dolan on vocals. So that's the difference, Even though it's some of the Kronos, some of the songs are from the Kronos era, the vocals are actually Tony Dolan on this one. Venom Tear Your Soul Apart, pretty much the same thing. It has a couple of, I think it may have one or two new cuts on it, but pretty much it's the same thing. It's a shorter album. It only has 6 songs on it. I guess you could say it's more of an EP. It's more of an EP, but still new songs, old songs, but with the new singer Tony Dolan's vocals on it. And then the last thing that I have as part of the collection is my Venom the Singles box set. Let's see. As the single to Die Hard, which has Die Hard on one side. Oops, move my hand. Die Hard on one side and Acid Queen on the other. Then there's the Venom one that has Lady Lust on one side and has Warhead on the other. This is the Manitou single, which has Manitou on one side. Wait a minute, what's on the other? I forget. Manitou and Woman. Woman is on the other side. And then the In League with Satan, that has In League with Satan on one side and has Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil on the other side. And then Bloodlust, which also has In Nomine Satanis on the other side. And and that's my Venom collection. Of course, I still have stuff that I am needing to add. Oh, wait a minute. That's not it. I forgot I also have the original members of, well, first let me say this, so I can keep this chronologically correct. I don't have these albums. Oh, actually, I do have them on CD. I just don't have them on vinyl because I haven't been able to locate them yet. But Venom did get, Kronos did resurrect the band Venom, and they put out an album in, wow, what year? This would have been the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. They put out an album called Carved in Stone. It was the original members. It was Jeff Dunn, Anthony Bray, Conrad Lant, or Kronos Abaddon Mantis. They got together and did an album called Carved in Stone. One side of Carved in Stone was new material, and the other side of Carved in Stone was a lot of their hits. But the difference is, for the first time, it was their stuff remixed, remastered. I think it may have been, no, it was actually, I think, re-recorded. Yes, it was re-recorded, but the production was much better than what the production on the older albums were. Production on the majority of Venom albums was not great. A lot of bands emulated that sound later as part of what would become like the black metal movement, but it's important to know that Venom's sound, the production, I don't believe was done on purpose like some other bands have done. I think it was just a matter of money and ability, not ability to play, but to mix and record an album. So anyway, when they did Carved in Stone, it was the first time you really got to hear what some of that music could really sound like. It was a great album. And then after that, they did another album called Resurrection. On Resurrection, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Abaddon or Anthony Bray had left the band again. And Kronos had enlisted his brother as the drummer. Resurrection is an amazing album. I can't say anything bad about it. Resurrection may be one of my favorite things that's come out under the Venom label. I love the songwriting. It's heavy as hell. It doesn't really sound like old Venom stuff. It sounds like if Venom were just a regular, just metal band. Then that's what Resurrection sounds like, but it's a great album, great. Then after Resurrection, they brought back guitarist Mike Hickey. So Mantis or Jeff Dunn had left the band again. They brought in Mike Hickey back to play guitar, and they did an album called Metal Black. Metal Black had some good highlights on it. Wasn't my favorite album, but it was good. It was good. It was a pretty good album. It wasn't anywhere near as good as Resurrection in my opinion, but it was a good album. They've done. I'm guessing at this point, because I don't own any of those, but they've done, I think, one, two, I think they've done three or four more studio albums with the new lineup they have. Mike Hickey has left once again, and they've got a new guitarist named Rage. Um, I only plugged all that just to come back to at what how many years ago was it? Somewhere between, well, let's see, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. No, it was, so 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the 5 years ago, Tony Dolan and Jeff Dunn found themselves in another band together called Empire of Evil. And they were playing a festival. And at this festival, someone had gotten the idea that it would be really great if they could get Anthony Bray involved and get up there and churn out some of the classic Venom songs as one of the as one of the official Venom lineups, because that was a lineup, Tony Dolan, Jeff Dunn, and Anthony Bray. So they did it, and the response was so great that they decided to actually put that thing together and tour it, and that became the band called Venom Inc. Venom Inc. was the two original members of Venom, Anthony Bray, or Abaddon, and Jeff Dunn, or Mantis, and then the later addition of Tony Dolan, who I had told you before came into Venom around the Primeval album. So they toured extensively under the Venom Inc. Venom Inc. banner. And then in 2017, they put out the album Ave. Great album, love it. To me, it sounds like Venom. To me, this album sounds more like Venom than anything that Venom has done in the last 10 years. And they've recorded a new album, and it's, from what I've been told, it's already in the hands of the record company, but we have no idea. We have no idea when it's going to be released. It's kind of COVID's really wreaked havoc on album releases, because bands are used to releasing albums and then touring to support the album, because they usually tend to make more money off of the tour than they do just the flat out record sales. So most people don't want to just release the album and not tour. And that's the kind of the situation that COVID set up. So a lot of bands like King's X and Dream Theater just kind of held off on things. King's X album, which will be coming out next year, I believe. Yeah, King's X album will be coming out next year, but it was actually recorded last year. So it's just one of those things. It's just, But anyway, I just wanted to take that time, or take that, have that excuse to share with you one of my favorite bands of all time, which is Venom. Side note: when Venom Inc. came to Richmond, Virginia, me and my friend went to go see them. Now, we had been listening to Venom. You might imagine, we're like, at the time that they played that show, I must have been 47, I think. 46, 47 years old. And, we had been listening to Venom since we were, like, I'd been listening to Venom since I was like in the ninth grade. And this was the first time we had ever saw them live. And as a result, we got to hang out with them. Hung out with them, drank with them, went and ate pizza with them, had just a great time. The best just the best group of guys you could ever hang out with. Down to earth, just cool as hell. You know, it's like they tell you should never meet, you should never meet your heroes or meet your idols because it'll just disappoint you. And I can honestly say that as far as they were concerned, that was not the case. They were everything I kind of in my mind envisioned them to be. It was one of the coolest evenings of my entire life. So yeah. So like I said, I just want to take a chance to, or take some time and you know share with you one what I consider one of the highlights of my record collection. Um, I still need to get, for me, I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there that I could get that has Venom on it. But what I need for my collection, I need Welcome to Hell. I need From Hell to the Unknown. I need Canadian Assault, Japanese Assault, American Assault. There's a fourth assault, and I can't remember the name of it. And I need the Warfare album called Mayhem Fucking Mayhem, because um, Kronos, I helped produce that album, so I would like to get that as well. And I need the second Kronos album. So if anyone out there knows or has a copy of Kronos' second studio album, and you're looking to sell it, hit me up. I'm looking to buy it. Or yeah, for as far as Venom stuff goes, I think that's the only thing that I think I'm going to have trouble getting. I think everything else has been pretty much reissued. It's just the Kronos stuff that's not going to be easy. Or if you get the third Kronos album, which has all the Kronos' band doing the Venom covers, if you have that album, or you know someone that does, and you're looking to sell that one, I'm also in the market to buy that as well. But anyway, I hope this has been somewhat entertaining. I know it's been a little bit long-winded. If you like what I'm doing here on this channel, of course, hit the like button, the bell notification, so that you'll know whenever new material is uploaded. And I look forward to sharing with you the next little section of my album collection.